Welcome to Kanerika's podcast, The Digital Shift.
It is great to be here.
I had this moment this morning that I think just perfectly frames what we're talking about today.
Okay.
I was sitting there, coffee in hand, staring at that blinking cursor in a chat box. I was trying to get an AI to draft an email for me, and it hit me. I still had to copy it, paste it, format it, check the recipients, hit send myself.
All the little steps.
All the little steps, and I just hit this wall of fatigue, realizing we spend so much time serving the tech that's supposed to be serving us. We're just constantly inputting, tapping, correcting.
The fatigue is so real.
Yeah.
And, there's a reason for it. We've been kind of stuck in this one paradigm for the last few years. We've been living in the chat era.
Right.
It's a passive relationship. You ask a question, the AI gives you text, and then the ball is right back in your court. You still have to do something with that text.
No, it's a text generator, not a task completer.
Exactly. But the reason we're doing this deep dive today is that the paradigm it's flipped. We're watching the death of the chat era and the birth of agentic AI.
Okay.
This is the moment where the software stops just talking and starts actually doing the work.
Yeah.
And I don't mean writing a plan for the work. I mean executing it.
And that distinction, execution versus generation, that's the core of our deep dive today, isn't it? We're not looking at the whole field. We're zeroing in on a specific battlefront. We've got three major players defining the landscape for 2026. There's OpenClaw, which is this fascinating open source rebel.
Right.
Then you've got Claude Code, which is basically a superpower for software engineers. And then Claude Cowork, which is aimed at, the rest of us.
And the so what here is massive. I really want you, the listener, to understand the stakes. This isn't just a software update or a new version number.
Yeah.
This is a fundamental shift in labor economics. We're not asking what can AI say anymore. We're asking what can AI execute autonomously. We're seeing tools that can unsubscribe you from 500 newsletters while you sleep.
Wow.
Or write incredibly complex code for companies like Netflix. The stakes are just. They're incredibly high because we are talking about real autonomy.
So let's unpack this. I want to start with the one that feels the most distinct from the corporate world, the one that feels a bit like the garage days of Silicon Valley. Let's talk about OpenClaw.
The DIY powerhouse.
This thing has quite an origin story. It launched back in January 2026, was originally called what, Maltbot or Claudebot?
Yeah, that's right.
Created by Peter Steinberger. And honestly, the reception was just explosive. It got over 30,000 GitHub stars and nearly 9,000 Discord members in just a few weeks. That is not normal.
No, it's viral growth. And the reason for that speed is it's this core philosophy. OpenClaw is local first.
Okay, what does that mean?
In a world where everything is moving to the cloud, your data's on servers in Virginia or Oregon. OpenClaw is kind of the resistance. It runs on your hardware. A Mac Mini, a Linux server, even a Raspberry Pi sitting on your desk.
So that has a very specific vibe. It appeals to the privacy crowd for sure. But is it just about paranoia, or is there a real functional benefit to having it run locally?
It's both. I mean, if you're privacy conscious, you want total control over your data. You don't want your private emails or your financial texts sitting on someone else's server to be trained on.
Right.
With OpenClaw, the brain of the AI is right there in your house. But functionally, it also means better latency. It means cost control. You're not constantly pinging a paid API for every little thought the bot has.
But here's where it gets really interesting for me, and I think this is why it really took off: the interface. Most AI tools, they try to force you into their app. Download our portal, log in here.
Yeah, another app to manage.
Exactly. OpenClaw doesn't do that. It lives where you already live. It connects to WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal, Discord.
And that's a very deliberate design choice, and it's brilliant. It lowers the friction to almost zero. You don't have to go to work to talk to your agent. You just text it.
Like a friend.
Yeah, like you text a friend. It's just a contact in your phone named agent or whatever you want.
And that leads to the feature that I think is the real game changer. Most AI is reactive. It just sits there like a statue waiting for you to ask it something. OpenClaw is proactive. It texts you first.
Right. This is what Agentic actually feels like. It's monitoring your environment. It can send you reminders, alerts, or updates without you prompting it.
So if a flight price drops, it texts me.
It texts you. If a server goes down, it alerts you. It's not waiting for permission to speak.
I found this great real-world example from the user base that was hilarious, but also kind of genius. One user set up OpenClaw to automate unsubscribing from over 500 newsletters.
Oh, well, that's the dream.
Right. Anyone who's tried to clean up an inbox knows the pain of clicking unsubscribe, waiting for the page to load.
Right.
Doing that 500 times is a full day of work.
And this user didn't lift a finger. The agent just ignored it.
Uh-huh.
It went in, parsed the emails, found the unsubscribe links, clicked them, and navigated the confirmations all on its own.
And another developer built a flight search tool entirely via chat in under 20 minutes.
Yeah, I saw that. They didn't write the code. They just told OpenClaw to build a tool that finds flights, and OpenClaw just did it.
It sounds like magic. It really does. But I have to play devil's advocate here. Usually when something is this powerful and free, there's a catch. Is this actually accessible to the average person listening?
I'm glad you asked that, because you have to put a reality check on this. OpenClaw is powerful, but it is not for everyone. It has a steep learning curve.
Okay.
You need to be comfortable with the command line. You need Node.js version 22 or higher installed. You have to know how to get API keys and configure a local server.
So if I don't know what Node.js is, or if the words terminal command make me break out in a cold sweat, I'm probably in trouble.
You're going to hit a wall.
Oh.
It's open source and free, which is great, but you're paying with your time and your technical effort. It's a tool for the tinkerer, the engineer, the person who wants to build their own Jarvis in the garage.
Not a download and play app.
Definitely not.
Okay, so that covers the hobbyist, the rebel, the person who wants to own their own infrastructure. Now I want to shift gears completely. Let's move from the garage to the heavy industrial machinery. Let's talk about Claude Code.
A different beast entirely. If OpenClaw is a toolkit, Claude Code is a fully staffed engineering department. This tool launched, and within 6 months, it hit $1 billion in run rate revenue.
1 billion in
Yeah.
6 months. That's an insane adoption curve for a B2B software tool.
It's unprecedented, but it speaks to the need. I mean, we're talking about giants like Netflix, Spotify, Salesforce. They're all integrating this into their workflows. And they're not doing it because it's a fun toy.
No, they're doing it because it works.
It works.
But explain the difference to me. I can already go to ChatGPT and say, write me a Python script to sort these files. Why is Claude Code generating $1 billion?
The difference is one word: context. That's the magic word.
Context.
When you paste code into a regular chatbot, it only sees that snippet. It doesn't know that 3 folders away, there's a dependency that breaks if you change one variable. Claude Code integrates directly into your terminal and your IDE, like VS Code. It has project-level context.
So it's not just reading the page, it's reading the whole book.
Exactly. It reads multiple files, it understands the architecture of your entire software, and it sees how one change here will affect the module over there. It isn't a typist, it's an architect.
There's one feature in particular that I think is just genius, and it solves the biggest fear developers have with AI. It's called the checkpoint.
Ah, yes, the safety net.
Because the big fear is the AI is going to delete something important or write code that breaks everything and I won't be able to fix it.
Of course. And checkpoint basically gamifies that risk. It's like a save point in a video game.
Mm-hmm.
Before the AI does a complex refactor or changes 100 lines of code, it creates a snapshot.
So if it messes up,
If the AI messes up or the code just doesn't run, you just hit escape twice and boom. It instantly rewinds the entire project to the previous state.
that psychological safety is huge. It encourages you to let the AI take risks because the cost of failure is literally zero.
And that leads to massive efficiency gains. We're seeing reports of 10x speedups on routine tasks like lint fixing or documentation. It lets developers focus on the high-level logic while the agent does all the bricklaying. It can even spawn sub-agents.
Sub-agents. Okay, pause on that. That sounds like science fiction. What does that actually look like?
Well, think of a general contractor building a house. They don't pour the concrete and wire the electricity at the same time. They hire subcontractors.
Okay.
Claude Code can do the same. It can create smaller instances of itself to work on different parts of a feature at the same time. It's parallel processing, but for coding labor.
That is mind-blowing. It really reframes the developer's role from writer of code to manager of agents. Now, before we get to the third player, the one for the non-coders, I want to ground this for a second. We talk about these tools abstractly. You know, Netflix uses this. But we at Kanerika are actually living this shift every single day.
We really are. You know,
Kanerika specializes in turning raw data into actionable insights with scalable AI solutions. We don't just watch these trends, we implement them for our clients. And honestly, we eat our own cooking. We've got our own roster of digital colleagues that we've developed internally.
I love that we call them colleagues. It really personalizes the utility. Like Alan, for instance.
Right. Alan is our AI legal summarizer. Anyone listening who works in enterprise knows the pain of contracts. A 100-page master service agreement, it burns hours of high-value time. Alan condenses those documents into actionable summaries instantly.
It's not replacing the lawyer.
No, it's making the lawyer faster. It flags risks, highlights obligations. And then you have Susan.
Susan is critical for security. She's our AI PII redactor. In our line of work, we handle sensitive data. Susan automatically scans documents and removes that info names, social security numbers, credit cards, before it ever leaves a secure environment.
Which is a perfect example of a task that's terrible for humans. A human gets tired, they might miss a number, a machine doesn't get bored.
Exactly. Consistency is key. And then there's Mike, our quantitative proofreader, and Carl, our data insights agent. But the point is, we use these specific agents to solve specific business problems. We use platforms like Microsoft Fabric and Databricks to help our clients in banking, retail, logistics.
To optimize their supply chains, forecast revenue.
Right. The philosophy we have at Kanerika isn't about some general AI you can chat with about the weather. It's about agentic AI that does a job. Automated invoice processing, claims automation in insurance.
It's about utility.
It is. We're moving past the novelty phase into the utility phase. We're not doing magic tricks anymore. We're saving companies money.
Which brings us perfectly to the third player in our lineup. We've covered the tech-savvy DIY user with OpenClaw. We've covered the hardcore developer with Claude Code. But what about the project manager? The person drowning in PDFs who doesn't know how to run a terminal?
And doesn't want to.
Enter Claude Cowork.
Claude Cowork is the knowledge worker's best friend. And the fascinating thing about this tool is its origin. Anthropic, the company behind it, built this entire tool in just 10 days using Claude Code.
Wait, really? The AI built the AI?
In a way, yeah. It's a prime example of what they're calling vibe coding, using AI to accelerate its own development. They use their developer tool to build a desktop app, Mac OS only right now, that targets the regular office worker.
And the use case that completely sold me on this is the downloads folder scenario.
The digital junk drawer.
Everyone listening has one. The graveyard of PDFs, random images, installers, Untitled 1, Untitled 2.
We all have it.
And with Claude Cowork, you give it access to that folder, and it autonomously organizes hundreds of files. It opens them, reads them, figures out what they are, and sorts them by project, by content type. It cleans up your digital life.
And it goes beyond just organizing. It executes tasks that involve seeing and typing. The best example is expense reports.
The bane of corporate existence.
It truly is. You can give Cowork a pile of photos of receipts. It doesn't just read them, it converts them into a structured Excel expense report. And this is the kicker, it actually puts in working formulas.
See, that is the difference between chat and agent. Chat can tell you how to make an expense report, and agent makes the expense report.
Precisely. It is doing the manual labor. However, we have to provide a balanced view. There are limitations. Unlike OpenClaw, which has that persistent memory file on your drive, Claude Cowork is session-based. It doesn't have long-term memory.
So it won't remember, I like my spreadsheets formatted in blue from last week.
Not yet. It's great for a specific task right now. Fix this folder, write this report. But it won't remember your preferences next week the way a local agent like OpenClaw would. It's a drop-in worker, not a long-term partner.
That's a crucial distinction. It's like hiring a temp versus a full-time assistant. Okay, so we've got three very different tools. Let's try to break this down. If I'm listening right now, how do I choose?
It really comes down to a decision matrix of cost, effort, and privacy. Let's look at cost and effort. OpenClaw is free software, but it costs you time. You are the IT support, and you're paying API fees, which can run $50 to $150 a month if you're a heavy user.
Whereas Claude Code and Cowork are subscriptions.
Right, predictable pricing, $20 to $200 a month, depending on the tier. Then there's privacy. OpenClaw wins, hands down. Local data, on your machine. Claude offers standard enterprise encryption, but it is cloud-based.
Okay, so if I had to summarize the decision matrix, if you are tech-savvy, you want an always-on personal butler that lives in WhatsApp, and you want to own your data, you go with OpenClaw.
Correct. That's the power user choice.
And if you're a software engineer needing to refactor legacy code, or a CTO looking to speed up your dev cycle by 10x, you go with Claude Code.
Absolutely. It's the professional's weapon of choice right now.
And finally, if you're a project manager or anyone dealing with administrative chaos, files, and reports, you want Claude Cowork to handle the drudgery.
That's the breakdown. But I think if we zoom out, the bigger picture here is that we're witnessing the fragmentation of AI.
What do you mean by fragmentation?
Well, think back a year ago. The dream, the hype, was one bot to rule them all. One ChatGPT window that could do everything: code, write poetry, organize your files.
But that's not what's happening.
No, we're seeing specialization. A bot for code, a bot for files, a bot for your personal life.
It's becoming like a team of specialists rather than one generalist.
Exactly. And that's where the complexity comes in for businesses. Managing one bot is easy. Managing a fleet of specialized agents, making sure they talk to each other, making sure they're secure, that requires a real strategy.
And that's a perfect segue to remind our listeners where we fit in. Because this fragmentation can be confusing for businesses looking to implement these kinds of autonomous agents at scale securely, efficiently. We at Kanerika are the partners to call.
We are. We offer things like the Copilot Agent in a Day
Right.
workshop or our AI maturity assessment. We help organizations figure out not just which tool to use, but how to govern them.
Right.
How do you ensure your Susan agent isn't deleting the wrong things? How do you ensure your data stays compliant when you have 10 different agents running? That's what we do.
So if you're listening and thinking, I need this for my company, but I don't want to break anything, reach out. We've navigated this jungle already.
Absolutely. We've built the maps.
Before we sign off, I want to leave our listeners with one last thought. We talked about how OpenClaw proactively texts you.
And how Claude Code fixes your mistakes before you even know you made them.
And how Cowork organizes your files without being asked. So here's the question. If these agents can now proactively manage our communications, fix our work, and organize our lives without us explicitly telling them to, at what point do they stop being our assistants and start being the managers of our time?
That is the question of the decade. Are we delegating tasks or are we delegating agency?
Well,
If the bot decides what emails I see, the bot is deciding what I think about.
something to mull over. Thanks for listening to Kanerika's The Digital Shift. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.